Tell you what, guys, I really enjoy the Squier Classic Vibe series. I think they're cool instruments, and I love getting a chance to play them and check them out for myself, and even more so to review them for you in case you're considering getting one. And tonight here on the Rumblin' Man YouTube channel, we are looking at a really cool one, and there's a particular reason that this is going to be special to me, and I'll share that with you momentarily. But this is the Squier Classic Vibe 70's Stratocaster, as made by Fender, and this one is in black with a maple fretboard, and the pickup configuration is HSS. Okay, now that's going to mean instead of single coil, 3 single coils, it's going to mean humbucker, single coil, single coil. So it's going to be a fat Strat configuration, which is a wonderful and versatile configuration of guitar, probably my go-to half the time. So very cool guitar, guys. So stick with me because tonight I'm going to demo this guitar for you in a few different capacities. I'm going to let you hear what it sounds like. I'm going to tell you what I think of this guitar and if I think it's something you should get. And I'm also going to discuss whether or not it's an accurate recreation of a 1970s Stratocaster as it essentially boasts to be. So in the description of this video, there's a link where you can purchase this guitar for yourself if you want to go in and order one based on my review. Also in the description of this video, there are chapter markers that you can use to skip around different parts of this video. However, I ask of you, you know what? How about this? Stick with me because, I really think that all the information that we're going to discuss tonight is going to be relevant to your decision as to whether or not purchase this guitar. I'm not going to waste your time and fluff your ears with random stuff. I mean, I'm going to keep it relevant here. So stick with me if you have a few minutes, and let's check out this guitar together this evening. Okay, so guys, welcome to the Rumblin' Man YouTube channel. This is a guitar and bass YouTube channel in which we discuss guitars, basses, gear related to those things, man. We do a lot of gear related tutorials. Do me a favor, go and click the subscribe button because if you're a musician, if you're learning to play, or if you've been playing for years like I have, I think you'll like this content, okay? And also do me a favor real quick, everybody, and click the thumbs up button just so that will help me get more views on this video. And I would be honored for this video to be one of the biggest and most viewed videos of this guitar on YouTube. So help me do that by giving me a thumbs up. So if you're into the Classic Vibe series, I've got more videos on some of the Classic Vibe basses. In fact, just a few weeks ago, I released my video on the Classic Vibe 50's Stratocaster. And tonight, check it out, my second Strat in this series, the Classic Vibe 70's Stratocaster HSS. Now, here's why this is special to me. I grew up playing my dad's 70's Strat. It's a late 70s Strat, and it's very characteristic of the 70s is the one that he has. And I grew up playing that. He had a few different guitars around the house. And when I would play electric, he had that one and a couple others, but that was the one I always liked to play from the time I was in my teens, even well into my 20s, when I'd be recording or I'd play it live, when I was doing something in high school with youth group, or even as I started to be a performing musician around Nashville several years ago, I'd use it live and stuff. And so I'm using my memories of playing that guitar as a reference point as I review this guitar tonight, because I want to see, does it give me the same vibe that it does my dad's old 70s Strat that I love so much? Quite frankly, the specs on this guitar are so incredibly similar, if not identical, to the 50s one I reviewed. But what I really want to discuss tonight is more factors of relevance rather than factors of what it's made of. Okay, now, some Classic Vibes made in China, some are Indonesian. This one's Indonesian. Some guys say there's a difference. Some guys say there's not. To me, I haven't found that difference yet. So guys, I want to talk about the pickups real quick. I think these pickups are pretty cool. I think they sound pretty good, as you heard on the intro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and play, and I'm going to play on each pickup setting, starting with the neck, working our way to the bridge, each of the 5 positions, and then I'll guide you through. First, we're going to hear it with cleaner tones, and then we're going to kick on some simulation of a tube screamer. And we are using, for every demo in this video, we are using the Zoom G3XN for amp simulation and basic effects. On this part of the demo, however, to let you hear these pickups, I'm going to get the EQs as flat as I can. Now, there's still going to be a brightness switch turned on because I always find that with Strats, I do need to kick out a little low end. That said, you're going to hear, the flattest EQ that I can give you and still get a good sound. So without further ado, let's listen to these pickup positions. pretty cool tones. Not a bad sounding guitar. I'll go in and admit that right now. Not a bad sounding guitar. And I find with these classic vibe instruments, I always generally tend to like how they sound. Every classic vibe model I've ever played or used, there really hasn't ever been one that I didn't like how it sounded. I think Squier Classic Vibe can be, if it's the right instrument for you, it can be a good buy at times. Now, is this an accurate recreation of a 70s Strat? No. It's not. I mean, look, they got some things right. Okay, they got some things right. The blockier headstock shape. I mean, that's got 70s written all over it, and it sure looks like a 70s guitar. I mean, even this finish, because in the 70s, it was actually a really interesting decade for Strats. A lot of changes, and I'm gonna have to make a separate video just about Strats in the 70s at some point, because there's some interesting stuff. And one thing was they started moving away from the finishes, the beautiful finishes that had become so well known in the 60s, like Lake Placid Blue, Candy Apple Red, some of those beautiful Strat colors we still have today. They started moving into more having natural finishes in the 70s, and then sometimes solid colors as well, but they'd be more basic solid colors like maroon or black, and obviously the occasional white. But to me, it stopped being as tasteful and interesting. To me, that 60s, in terms of how those instruments looked, they were beautiful. It was a golden era, it really was. But the 70s were cool too, and really worth celebrating. But I remember the feeling of playing my dad's 70s Strat, and it's just a different feeling. I mean, the neck, C shape, that's pretty much what you found a lot of the time in the 70s. But the fretboard radius is different. I believe this is a 9.5 fretboard radius, and I believe a lot of the 70 Strats were 7.25. Also, these tuners are different than what I've seen on 70 Strats. Now, I can just go on and tell you that these vintage style tuners are fine, and they're the same vintage style tuners that I saw on the 50s model. And obviously this appears to be the same, vintage style bridge and tremolo I saw in the 50s model. So they're keeping it vintage. In the 70s, however, they did start to change things around. It's kind of when they started making things kind of interesting, because they would try something new with their tuners or with their bridge or with their hardware, or at times even with their pickups. Some people like the way pickups were characteristically wound for Stratocasters in the 70s, but others don't, because others say it can give you a thin sound. Now, this guitar does have kind of a thin sound, but not too thin. I like that, and that could be an authentic representation of 70s tones. But really, it's not made of the same wood. My dad's 70s guitar is like way heavier than this. That guitar feels like it's built like a tank. This guitar feels like I could break it over my knee. Now, I'm not going to do that. I have no desire to do that. I think it's a sin to do that. But just to say, I don't find this to be an authentic recreation of a 70s guitar. If you want to put a guitar in your hands and feel like you're playing a 70s Strat, to me, this doesn't give you that, but it does give you kind of the same general vibe. So if you're going to get one, understand it's not an authentic 70s recreation. But with a lot of the features, they get close, like with these thinner and tall frets. That gives you that 70s vibe, and it's accurate. It does feel similar to playing the 70s guitars I've played, but to me, this neck is just different. This is a thinner neck when I put my hands on it. To me, the hardware, from what I've known of 70s Strats, is a little different, and obviously the wood they made it with is different. It's lighter weight. It's cheaper wood. I do love a good gloss vintage tint. I think it's awesome. Now, we do have a 5-way switcher, which did come about in 1977, so that could be a period, accurate thing. But something that's not period accurate is the HSS pickup configuration. At no point in the 70s did Fender release an HSS Strat. In fact, I'm pretty sure Fender did not release any HSS Strats until probably the late 80s. So why is there a humbucker in this bridge? Dunno. Maybe in the 70s, some people modded it that way. It was possible back then. It's possible now. There were other companies in the 70s that may very well have released, HSS guitars, but Fender was not one of them. So the fact that we do have a humbucker here is irrelevant to the 70s. That said, you can get some great tones out of it. It's got a nice thick sound to it, and some pretty versatile tones there too. I love like tight, articulate Strat sounds, but this is more of that like sloppy vintage Strat sound, and I really do like that. Okay. stylistically, you can do any style with this, man. You got the humbucker, you can play rock, you play blues. Me over the years, in many facets, I've been a worship guitarist and bassist, and you worship players, there's some great tones in there for you as well. If I owned one of these, I would probably play it on stage all the time. You know, the Squier Classic Vibes, they give you a pretty decent little guitar, and I think that's sweet. I like the gloss. I like the general aesthetic of the 70s look. I like that they're trying to, you know, recapture and recreate the vintage stuff. However, would I spend $450 on this guitar? There's just no way. Dude, there's no way. There's too many other guitars I could spend $450 on. Look, as far as tuning stability goes, this guitar is not staying in tune very well. I'm having to tune it more than I thought I was going to. The 50s model I reviewed stayed in tune better. That could be a million different things. You know, maybe the nut needs to be lubricated, maybe this and that. There's a lot of factors into a guitar's tuning stability. This one is not holding tune great. I can't even imagine using the tremolo bar and how it would go out of tune at that point in time. And overall, it just doesn't feel trustworthy to me. It's just got a real thin feeling to it. Another thing I don't care for is that this humbucker cannot split into a single coil position. For me personally, if I'm gonna have an HSS Strat, which you can bet I'm gonna have them, but I need for the humbucker to be able to split so that I can get classic Strat tones and fat Strat tones for rock. And it doesn't really give you that particular flexibility. I also don't really care for how they used basically the same hardware as the 50s model. I would have liked it if they had gotten a little more creative for the different decades. But that said, you know, so there's things about it that I don't care for, but there's a lot of things about it I like as well. So do I like the guitar? Yes, I do like it. I think it's cool. I really do like it, and I would play it all the time if I had one. But would I spend $450 on one? No. There's too many other guitars I want to spend $450 on that are better than this one. So, nay, sir. But if you want to spend $450 on it, click the link in the description of this video and you can go on and get your hands on one of these ASAP, bro. But these pickups are sweet, and to me, they do kind of have a 70s Strat sound to them, and they do have a versatile sound to them. I really like how the guitar sounds. So let's listen to one more demo. I'm going to play just lead guitar in a few different of the pickup positions and just let you hear kind of how they sound in a light mix, and it'll be fun. Let's check it out. we've now checked out the 50s Classic Vibe Strat. We've checked out the 70s Classic Vibe Strat, but we haven't checked out the 60s one. And I want to make that happen. I want to make it happen. I don't know how to make it happen because I don't have a ton of spare change at the moment for a guitar, but I want to make it happen. So I hope to do that. So guys, that about wraps it up for today. I do want to say a big thank you to my friend and guitar tech, Jeff, right here in Florida. This is from Jeff's collection today, and he was very kind to loan it to me, and Jeff's been a huge blessing to the Rumbling Man channel, so thank you, Jeff. Also, just thank you to all the regular subscribers and patrons and just everybody out there who helps me keep doing this, and even for the moral support and the positive comments you guys give. You make it enjoyable for me to make these videos, and I hope today's video has given you the information you need to tell you whether or not you want to get the Squier Classic Vibe 70s Stratocaster HSS. So God bless you guys, and thanks so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one, all right? In the end screen, by the way, you'll see links to some other Classic Vibe guitar-related videos, and I challenge you to watch them if you would like. Okay, so thanks again. See ya.